I dealt with an incident which was a theft of underwear. Oh, God. They set up a secret camera, and it turned out their flatmate was crawling around on their hands and knees wearing their dirty underwear. A female threw a packet of baby wipes at their ex partner at Asda checkouts. Don't be fucking about in Asda. A neighbour's kids had thrown pebbles at the dog, and the dog was upset. I say lock up the kids. I say lock up the kids and throw away the key. You do not hurt a good boy. I know the Green Party are talking about legalising drugs. When you talk about drug use, you have to be very, very clear in what you're talking about. Are we talking about legalisation, or are we talking about decriminalisation? Thousands of people listen to this podcast every single month. However, only a fraction of those people actually follow and rate the podcast. Can I ask you a favour? If you want this podcast to keep on growing, if you want these stories, the advocacy for emergency services, and giving a voice to the emergency services to continue, please follow, like, and rate the podcast. It helps more than you know, and it helps the podcast to grow. Fucking hell, sort that, bro. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Jobs Book Podcast. With me, your illustrious host, Jay Darkmore. I'm trying to get the framing right. I don't know if you're watching this, you might say, trying to get framing right. And it's just like, if a bit of the screen's in place or a bit of the microphone's in place, it makes the entire fucking thing blurry because of how the camera works. And I have had this many times where I've recorded a full goddamn podcast or a full fucking episode or something, and I've looked back and it's blurry. And it's like, oh no. So I've had to do some crazy tech things. So I'm positioning it so you can still see all the good stuff in the background. Still see me, of course. Hi. And I'm going to be outside soon. Like, here's my window, like I'm right next to it. Okay, so we're gonna crack on. We're gonna get into it. We've got a few good stories today. We've got stories what people sent in. We've got a question which I asked on my Instagram recently in relating to drug use and how we look at the issue surrounding drug use and drug addiction and criminality, etc. in the UK. I will also put my own little spin on it, my own thoughts on it, and if people agree with me, great. If they don't, let me know. Comments and everything else, engagement is what we like. What else was I say? Yeah, also, super quick one. Very quick announcement. I have created a short business course for anybody who is frankly sick to death of working in their job, emergency services, be you a copper, a fighter, whatever profession you do, you listen to this, you're thinking, I'm trapped in a pension, I'm trapped with a wage, I need a way out, I don't want to spend the next 20, 30 years, or 15 years, or whatever, however long you have left before you can retire. So I created a short video course. It's 20 quid, and it's in a link of this description, or you can scan this QR code on the screen right now. It teaches you just the basics of business and how you can find your avatar, your perfect customer. Talks about sales funnels, calls to action, lead magnets, etc. So yeah, if you're thinking, maybe I'd love to start my own little business. Maybe it's like an Etsy store, or you have something online. You like an online marketing kind of thing you'd like to do. Maybe you want to sell a service or a product. Maybe you're a personal trainer. Maybe you're this. Maybe you're that, and you don't know where to go, and you look at me and you think, how the fuck's this guy done it? He's managed to escape a career which he didn't like, and he's now doing this full time and supporting his family as a result. So if you want to learn some of the basics, 20 quid course, off you go. Right, so as we were. So, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Jobs Foot podcast. My name is Jay Dartmore. I am fucking hell, this isn't going well, is it? I have points on the T. I have points on the screen as well. Like, I follow a structure and a flow, and today it's just gone out the fucking window. I don't know why. I don't know if it's actually the lack of coffee I've had this morning, or maybe it's because I did a mad intense workout this morning. But either way, so if you have any submissions, you have any funny stories, you have any, you want to send anything through, everything is anonymized because, of course, I appreciate the integrity of yourselves, and you need to put your trust in me in order to submit your stories. Everything is anonymized. I take out key details, which I'm sure by now you realize. So let's get into it. You can message me on Instagram at the Job Pod, the Jobs Fuck Podcast, or you can email me at the jobpod25 at gmail.com. Links to all of that and more in the description of this episode. Okay, so I put on an Instagram poll. Now it's actually still ongoing, right? So let me just whip up the old Insta. Oh fucking hell, that's somebody at a gig that. No, piss off. Okay, so I put fuck it, I put my volume on. So I put on thing. I don't know if you can see that. I put drugs. Should drugs be legalized in the UK? Drugs should be legalized in UK and sold through the NHS to support addicts. 31% of people said yes, and 69% of people said no. And it's got about 50, 60 votes on it so far, so a good mix of opinions. So the reason why I wanted to know this is because I know the Green Party are talking about legalizing drugs. When you talk about drug use, you have to be very, very clear on what you're talking about. Are we talking about legalization or are we talking about decriminalization? A lot of people quote the Portugal way of doing it. And if you don't know, in Portugal at one point they had a huge heroin problem, drug problem, where 1% of the entire population was addicted to heroin. And if you have 60 million people, that's like what, 6,000, 600,000 people? Like, that's a lot of fucking people addicted to heroin. So what they did was they were doing it the American way, the Western way of basically criminalizing people who had drugs for, their own use. They still go after drug dealers, they still go after people who sell the drugs, but if you were caught with some cocaine on you or some heroin on you, rather than throw you in jail, what they would do is they would actually invest in rehabilitation services. Um, and talk about this a little bit in my next book, The System's Fucked. And there is a section there about rehabilitation and everything else. And one of the things which I put forward, and the Portugal model puts forward, is that nobody wakes up one day wanting to be an addict. Are you a shift worker who feels like they're losing themselves to the job? You feel exhausted on rest days, living off caffeine, you're gaining weight, you're terrified of the fitness test, and you're struggling to sleep. This is exactly why I have launched Shift Proof. It's a holistic support and well-being platform which sits right in your pocket for when you need it. Inside Shift Proof, you'll find hours of course material that covers sleep, mental health, diet, exercise, and work-life balance. There are even modules in there relating to business that if you do feel trapped in a career that's no longer serving you, you can build the tools on how to start a side business to eventually leave. There are structured gym and home workouts designed specifically for shift workers who are low on time, want to cut fat, want to build strength, and want to build muscle. There's also the kitchen space where you'll find simple, healthy meal prep ideas with calories and macros calculated. And every month we host a new challenge to help keep you motivated and to help keep you pushing forward. I believe you will love this platform so much that I've added not only a free trial, but also a money back guarantee. So if you don't absolutely love it and you cancel within the first 30 days, then you get a full refund. So if you want the job to stop taking everything from you and you want to start feeling like yourself again, then scan the QR code on screen or click the link in this video description and join Shift Proof today. Like, no heroin addict one day woke up and went, I want to be a burglar or I want to sell my body to support my drug addiction. No one ever thought that. It's a slow thing which happens over time due to chemical hooks, environment, uh, adverse childhood experiences, etc. So what the Portuguese did was they said, right, okay, all the money what we are gonna put into criminalizing people, we're now going to reinvest into work programs, into housing, into building better facilities, and to make the use of these drugs safer, and to reduce, certainly with needle drugs, HIV, cross contamination, bloodborne diseases, etc. So there's always that. And in 10 years, I think their drug problem halved. And so many more people got back into work, which of course is better for the economy and better for tax revenue and everything else. So, but then you have, I think, places like Canada. There's certain parts of Canada where they're just like no-go zones now because they just completely legalized everything, meaning that it was completely legal to buy drugs, to sell drugs, to take drugs. And as you can imagine, it's an absolute ghetto of a place. It's an awful place to be where that happens. So we have on one side, we have the extreme, which is like the American version, where if you're caught with drugs on you, I think even the Philippines, it's even worse there. Like, you get caught on drugs on you, you get sentenced to death. You get caught with a joint on you, it's bye bye. Then you have a little bit this more inside, which is the American model, which is the you lock you up, we arrest you, we take away your freedom for so long. We put you in a cage and we say that's very bad, don't ever do it again. But then we release people into the same environment and expect them to change when all the stimuli and everything else to do with their life has still the same. And that's the model we have over here. With millions and millions and millions and millions, if not billions of pounds, are spent every year on the war on drugs. And the war on drugs has not been won. It is still continuing. So then what we have is then we have the complete other direction, which is the Canadian the Canadian aspect, which is, well, let's just legalize everything. Well, that's not worked either because they have high rates of overdoses, still high rates of crime, and complete no-go areas, complete no-go zones in some places. So let's now look at the Portuguese model, which is a middle ground. We have decriminalized personal use and we use it. So instead of throwing people in prison, we use the resources which we would have otherwise spent to put people in prison and put people through rehab and support. And if you can destroy drugs and crime is a supply and demand business, it's a business model. People want drugs, people buy drugs. Well, if we stop people wanting drugs, then people aren't going to make them and sell them. There's no point in making a high risk commodity such as drugs if people aren't. The reason why people do it is because it's illegal. The premium is much higher. I don't know how much a bag of cocaine is now. A gram of cocaine when I was growing up, for anything decent, it was like £100 for a bag. Now I don't know if that's still the case. Fucking no idea. Uh, but it's yeah. So and of course, with the high price tag comes higher risk and crime and attracts the wrong people. And a lot of money can be made very quickly. But of course, you can lose all your freedom or potentially even your life as a result. I remember arresting a drug dealer once and he said, "I'm very happy you guys got hold of me before the people I owe money to got hold of me." I'm like, "Oh, right, okay, right." I heard a story of a lad once who he owed him 500 quid. He owed a drug dealer 500 quid. And what he did was he boiled a kettle full of jam and then poured it on him. You can imagine he was incredibly disfigured after that. But this is the nature of the world. And people were saying to me, "Oh, he's a nice lad. He just sells a bit of drug on the weekend to look after his family." It's like, yeah, all right. But if you owe him money, he's not a nice lad then. And this is it. Like criminals assert their dominance through violence or through the um, application of violence or the threat of violence. So crime and drugs and everything is incredibly connected because there's so much money involved in it. And they can't go to the police, can they? Because what they're doing is illegal anyway. So if we look at it from a business model, if we stop people who want to take drugs, if we stop people taking the drugs, certainly if they're addicts, then that reduces the demand, which will then reduce the supply. But just food for thought. And I know from personal experience when I was in the job, and you'd arrest the same people over and over again. They were an alcoholic, or they were addicted to cocaine, or addicted to heroin, or they'd all just have a bit of weed on them. They'd be repeatedly getting arrested, and guess what? Or they'd be stealing. You'd arrest because they were for theft. They steal for theft, uh, for their habit, and what then happened was, guess what? They didn't stop. They just continued because we released them back into the same environment. And rehabilitation services are on their arse as well. Not many people want to go into rehabilitation services. Not many people want to go into probation services, be support workers for people, shit like that. So I think if we was to take away this side, as in the extremes of locking people up for having a little bit of something on them, and instead go, okay, well, you're clearly an addict. Let's put you into programs to get yourself clean. Um, and then we will then speak to potential employers and we'll say, we'll pay half this person's salary if you take them on. Because another big thing, which why it keeps people in the cycle of addiction, is because of the stigma of having a criminal record. If you get a job applicant and it says, "Oh, I was arrested for drugs or I'm arrested for burglary," you're not really going to get hired when there's another applicant who doesn't have that. But if that applicant who has the criminal history, the employers get half their wages paid to that person by the government as a result of this scheme, then it makes it more attractive. And plus, it gives people purpose too. If I'm an addict and I've been to rehab and I then get sent out and I get released from rehab, and next thing I know, I have a job and I have my own money and I have my own rehabilitation work and my own support services, then that gives people more purpose and more reason to not take the drugs rather than just kicking a homeless person out back into the street with all the same mates, all the same triggers, all the same, they know the drug dealers, they know the local shops. You're asking the people to repeat the same behavior over and over again. And I don't think that's the best way to do it. It's clear by how we have been acting now, it's clear by what we have seen after so many years of trying to tackle the drug problem that it's not worked. There are still drugs, there are still millions and millions, and if not billions, spent on tackling the issue every single year. People are still dying from overdoses, crime is still being committed, gang crime is still being committed in the name of drugs. Yeah, so the method isn't working. So we have to try something else. Am I suggesting that we legalize all drugs? Absolutely fucking not. I think that'd be a terrible thing to do. Are we saying that we can decriminalize personal use and support the people who are addicts to get back into society and become a functioning member of society? Yes, because as we've seen, there is a huge thing which Portugal have done, a 10-year research project which saw the desired result of 50% reduction in drug use. If anybody knows a bit more about that, by all means, let me know. I'm always willing to be educated. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think we should completely decriminalize and legalize all drugs? Do you think that absolutely not? If anything, we should be harder on people who take drugs, or do you think there is that room for a middle ground, like what I'm talking about, or putting forward? Always interesting people's thoughts on this topic. So, okay, so the next thing I wanted to do, let's get into it. So we've got the stories. We've just done the story of the week. We have rants and stories where I read your accolades, your stories, and everything else. So I like putting stuff on my Instagram every now and then. Sometimes people just mess me out of the blue. They hear the podcast and they think, "Oh, that sounds pretty cool. I'll speak to that bloke with the nice cap." Hey, and I will message him. Or I put something on Instagram and then people DM me as a result, which I think is great. Super quick one. If you're a shift worker and you're struggling with burnout, you're struggling with sleep, you're feeling alienated from your family and feel like you're slowly losing yourself to the job, then I have a free resource available named 14 Ways in 14 Days of Shift Worker Wellbeing Support. You can scan the QR code on the screen now or click the link in the description of this video. It won't cost you a penny, and each day you receive an email from me filled with practical shift applicable support. Make sure you download it. Thank you for everything what you do. Now back to the video. Okay, so this first submission I got is because I asked people, what's the most ridiculous job you've dealt with, or how's your week been? And this person messaged, said, "This week I came into a prisoner who we had to emergency charge who had 10 minutes left on the clock. That's a stressful day. That's a stressful day." That's a stressful day because it means that there has been so many different failings up until that point where somebody hasn't been able to make a decision, or it's been protracted for whatever reason. So walking in to go, and I've had it before where, you're walking on shift, they go, you needed at custody, someone's got half an hour left on the clock, you need to go charge him. Or they go, he's got 2 hours left on his clock, he needs an interview. It's like, fucking what? Why has no one else done it? They've been in for 22 hours already by this point. Why has no one else done it? Oh, well, you see, because of this and this and this. Yeah, yeah, pass the buck. Dickhead here's got to deal with it. So it's not a great start to your shift, not a great start to your day. So there was that. And then on the second day, oh the god, it's bad this one. On the second day, I dealt with a call of someone stepping off a bridge. That's shit, and I'm very sorry that you had to deal with that. Doesn't talk about whether this person survived. However, somebody steps off the bridge, they're not going to be a good way, even if they survive. I know a lad actually who he had a lot of run-ins with the police when he was younger. He had a lot of mental health issues. He had drug problems, and he was in a really bad way in his life. And he did that. He got on a bridge and jumped off. Uh, he survived. He survived. He's now in a wheelchair. He's paralyzed from the waist down, could just about like move his hands a little bit. And he said, as soon as his feet left the bridge, he wanted to live. As soon as he'd taken that plunge, he decided he wanted to live. And people say that survivors who jumped off like the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, I think that's a popular spot for people trying to do themselves in. People that survive said, I think I've all said, as soon as my feet left the floor, I wanted to live because I'd taken that I'd realized, no, I don't want to die. And this is what he said. And he said after that, he completely, once he'd healed and he'd survived, he saw it as a second chance, and he completely changed his life. He repaired his relationship with his daughter. He really made amends with people that he'd harmed. He got clean. He got into work, he went to university, and he got a degree in something, amazing story to hear about. Really is amazing story to hear about. And it's always an absolute shame when somebody feels like they have to the only way out is to take that irreversible step. And it's one of them as well. Like sometimes people can be left in a worse position if it's unsuccessful. So they attempt to harm themselves permanently, and they end up with severe damage to the body. Uh, I know of a job I dealt with on the motorway where somebody they broke up with a girlfriend, and just in that moment they thought, I don't want to live anymore. They jumped out the car, they ran across two dual carriageways, got hit 3-4 times by cars, um, and they survived. They survived, but they lost, I think, part of their liver. They broke the back in many places. They had to have a leg amputated, an arm amputated, so they're in a horrific position now as a result of that decision. And I just anybody out there who's listening to this who's maybe going through a bad time and thinks that there is only one way out, there is always another way. There's always another way. It may seem bleak, it may seem hopeless, but there is always another way. A this trying to take your own life is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And as well, nobody talks about if you attempt it and you fail, you may be catastrophically injured for the rest of your life. So that's another thing you got to think about as well. It's awful. It's awful. And the officer who sent this in, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. It's awful for the people. It There's something like it transcends the pain, like pushes the pain to somewhere else. Your pain might have ended if you're successful. Your pain might have ended by taking that ultimate leap. But your pain just transfers to other people. So it transfers to family, can transfer to emergency services that have to go and, deal with it. Transfer to witnesses, people who were involved. Maybe you got hit by a car on the way down and that person's then traumatized, for the rest of life. So it doesn't get rid of the pain. It just transfers the pain to other people as well. Um, but yeah, awful, awful. I'm sorry. So there was another one here. Then same person. Then on nighttime economy, so like Friday night, Saturday night around town, ended up doing CPR. Fucking hell, man, you've had a hell of a week. Ended up doing CPR on someone that fell down some stairs. I also walked into a house and found an improvised explosive. Fuck me, what fucking week have you had? Jesus, that's you deserve a beer at the weekend, you pal. Make sure you're decompressing properly though. Make sure you're maybe journaling a little bit. Make sure you're getting out into the sunlight. You're walking around. You trauma in the body, imagine trauma is like a sticky substance and it sticks to the body. It sticks to nervous system, it sticks to the brain. And there's research to suggest that hard physical activity can kind of unstick it and it can move it and make it move and process better. So there's always that as well. So don't just if you the person who sent this in is listening to this, don't just swallow it down or just get on with it, because that trauma is still there. Like that needs to come out. That stress, that trauma needs to come out. And yeah, you've got to make sure you're looking after yourself. You have to make sure you're looking after yourself when it comes to these sorts of things. Okay, so the next one. A female threw a packet of baby wipes at their ex-partner at Asda checkouts. Don't be fucking about in Asda. Listen, hey, listen. Asda, right? Asda is the center of the universe. Right? There's nothing wrong with Asda. Why do people from Liverpool call it the Asda? I'm going to the Asda. The Asda. Going to the Asda, mate. It's just Asda. I'm going to Asda. Going to the Asda. Is it a specific Asda? I'm not going to that Asda. I'm going to the Asda. Like, I'm not going to the shop. I'm going to the shop, the pub. Right, okay. What the fuck am I talking about? Victim was persistent that they wanted to go to court instead of them being given a caution. Sent me 16 emails in the space of 6 days whilst I was on annual leave. Yeah, you do get that. Unfortunately, you get people who aren't happy with the result. Like I remember I dealt with a job where it was a lad, and he was a fucking horrible piece of shit. He made very awful comments about a young child and then posted it on social media and then wondered why everybody found out where he lived and wanted to get the fuck out of him because the post blew up. It went crazy because it was basically a sex offender talking about a kid. I'm not even going to mention what he was saying, but imagine what he was saying. And he recorded it and put it on Facebook, and the post blew up, and people went, "I know where he fucking lives. I know who that is." And then he rang the police. The offender rang the police and said, "There's people at my house trying to twat me." So I went, lifted him, and then ended up interviewing the lad. And he got interviewed, he got charged, and he got remanded, and he got moved out the area. And the victim wasn't happy with that. She wanted a house move, she wanted this, she wanted that. And I understand why, but it was like out of all the possible great results, what could happen? It's like we'd hit them all. We'd gotten a really good result. Um, but she weren't happy. So you're gonna get people who, even though like what you've done was proportionate and reasonable, they want them to go to prison for the rest of their lives. And this is why we need to work on objectives, on objective evidence and what is reasonable proportionate, rather than just say what somebody wants to happen through vengeance, through being pissed off at this person, through I'll fucking show them. You know what I mean? So you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. I dealt with an incident which was a theft of underwear. Oh God. They set up a secret camera, and it turned out their flatmate was crawling around on their hands and knees wearing their dirty underwear. Let's just say the interview was interesting. I imagine you booted that fucking pervert out quite quickly. Jesus. Have you seen my thong? No. Why are you crawling around on all fours in my underwear? Uh, I'm not. I mean, if that's your thing, you want to wear you want to wear women's underwear, crack on, do your thing. But buy your own, for God's sake. Don't be wearing somebody else's dirty underwear. Like, that's just gross. Don't be stealing somebody's underwear to fulfill your own kind of perverse kink. If you want to do it, crack on, do your thing. If you're not hurting anybody and it's your money and your property in the privacy of your own home, do whatever. Maybe that was part of the thrill, though. Maybe it was part of the thrill of like, oh, I'm not supposed to be doing this. It's that deviant side, which, asks bigger questions for me. But yeah, bit weird. It also says here, let's just say the interview afterwards was interesting. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, is that you? Is that you on that video? Oh no. Didn't know he was a C cup. Oh, stop it. Stop it. Gross that. That's minging. Had another one here of a neighbor. I fucking love doing this. I love hearing what you guys have been up to. Um, oh no, this one's mean. A neighbour's kids had thrown pebbles at the dog, and the dog was upset. I say lock up the kids. I say lock up the kids and throw away the key. You do not hurt a good boy. Why would you do that? Why would you hurt a good boy or a good girl? But why would you do it? A dog's done nothing. If kids are throwing pebbles at a dog and trying to hurt the dog and upsetting the dog, then the parents of those kids also, I think, need to be thrown in prison, because like you've done a shit job. If you raising children to hurt animals, that's not okay. I'm all on the dog side. I'm on the dog side. Poor dog. Imagine a dog on a stand. Hope no one brought a ball. I don't think- Fucking hell. I know if it was my dog on the stand, there'd be absolutely no way. Just sit there with his tongue out, panting like mad. Someone brings the ball, gone, gone. Judge goes to do the thing. Where's my gavel gone? Dog's got it. Give me it back. I know. I'm not. Oh mate. Why do we do this podcast? Why do I do this podcast? I think we're on nearly 50 episodes now, which is amazing. How good's that? Nearly 50 episodes. Ah, so cool. Domestic incident whereby the partner damaged their own vehicle. Sorry, what? Domestic incident whereby the partner damaged their own vehicle, although they didn't update the V5 from 2019 when they took ownership of the vehicle. I'm happy to say it's their car, but supervision still want me to deal with it as a domestic criminal damage because their name isn't on the V5. Right. So I buy a car, it's my car. I then have an argument with my partner for whatever reason. I then go out and smash up my own car with a sledgehammer. It's my car. I can do what I want with my own property, my own car. But because I haven't signed a document from 6, 7 years ago to say that this is now my car, and the V5, which if you're from overseas, it's basically the logbook. So when you buy a car, you sign the V5 and say, I'm responsible for this vehicle. But it doesn't attribute That alone doesn't attribute ownership of the vehicle. It just means who's responsible for paying the road tax of that vehicle. So the point doesn't stand because they haven't signed the V5 means it's not their car. Well, even if they do sign the V5, it doesn't make it their car. It just means they're responsible for the road tax element of the vehicle and paying that. So I don't understand what the supervision is talking about here. It's basically this is a domestic. We'll try and get a stat. We'll try and get anything from it. Meanwhile, there's no fucking incident. There's no crime there. You can smash up your own property. It's your property. You can do it. You can set fire to your well, you can't set fire to your house. Um, but you can set fire to your fucking couch if you wanted to. You take the couch somewhere, set fire to it, as long as it's legal, and as long as it's fine. But you can walk into your kitchen, smash all your plates up, smash all your plates up. You put holes in your walls if you wanted to, if you so desired. You can do it, and it's not criminal damage because it's your items. They're yours. So yeah, bit weird that, bit of an odd one. So there's this one. Assault of a mobility scooter. Hey, right. So I was in Asda, the Asda. I was in the Asda the other day. I was walking bit of side tangent here. I was walking with my girlfriend, and there was this lady basically drove right in front of us. So my girlfriend walked forward. They drove in front of me and behind her, and she just turned around and went, "You didn't even look then." So I'm just walking around all day, just like, "You didn't even look then," and it's like Um, you drove at us. What the fuck? And we're not in a traffic, not in traffic, are we? We're in a foyer in Asda. Like, what's going anyway? What's going on? And in the highway code, the pedestrian would have more right of way because we're more vulnerable road users. Right. So miss bad attitude in Asda on a Tuesday. If you're watching this in your ability scooter, you fucking sort yourself out. Sort yourself out. So, assault of a mobility scooter. Nowhere in the log does it say a person was threatened or assaulted. No, the suspect pushed them out of the way of the mobility scooter, and they've crimed as an assault, which now needs investigating. So, I think basically what's happened is a mobility scooter was driving towards somebody, and then somebody's pushed them out of the way and gone, "Oh, mind out." Um, or the mobility scooters has pushed this person out the way. At no point does it say they were assaulted, no point of any harm, no fear of violence or anything like that. So, but they want they want investigating. It's fucking backwards. It makes me laugh so much when it comes to crime recording and crime statistics. Just the kind of shit they'll crime. Anything to get a tick in the box. Anything to get a tick in the box. And it's bollocks. It's bollocks. This is where our tax money is going, ladies and gentlemen. Our extremely, brilliant and proficient and amazing police officers can't come to your serious incident because they're too bogged down with shit like this because nobody's got the balls to say that's not a crime, mate. We're not investigating that for fear of getting a complaint. Oh God forbid the police get a complaint. Hmm. Anyway, and here we are. Two 10-year-olds in a shoving match on the playground. The school are too scared of the parents, so they won't get involved. No injuries, no CCTV, waste of time, no further action. Two 10-year-olds, right? So they're just about on the age of criminal responsibility anyway. And you're never going to prosecute a 10-year-old unless it's for something horrendous, what they've done. You're never going to prosecute a 10-year-old for shoving each other in a playground. And I've had a couple like this actually when it comes to schools. I had one where a girl, she was about 16, 15, 16. I think she had a lot of behavioural problems. She was booting off in school. She booting off, and what happened was the head teacher or the head of year or something like that. Basically, there was like some double doors, and they've just put their hand on her back and said, "Just step outside there." She's gone home, complained to her mum. Mum's rang the police. The school have assaulted my daughter. I want legal action taken. I did not take legal action. I had a chat with the parents. I had a chat with the school. It was all fine. It was all fine. Like the head teacher was like, "This girl is a persistent problem. Um, I haven't assaulted her. I just told her to get outside. And yes, okay, I touched her back. But that's not an assault." I was like, no, like, okay, maybe be crimed as an assault, but we're not going to take any further action. this is part of, there's a very small part of a much wider issue. The wider issue is the girl's behaviour and her parenting, who clearly believe their little cherub can't do anything ever fucking wrong. Hence why when the school tried to calm her down, as soon as she goes, the school have assaulted me, she goes like if my lad came home and he said, my teacher assaulted me, I'd be like, what happened? Oh, I was having a mad one and the teacher pushed me outside. Right, so you were the problem. You were being a tit, and your teacher's gone, "Stop it." Like, teachers don't get half the respect they need, and teachers, believe it or not, are incredibly important to a functioning society because they control the education system. So, I think, yeah, teachers, you should I believe there's a term, I believe there's a saying, I think it's like in India or something like that, but it says, like, your 2 most important people are your parents and your teacher. Because your parents teach you when you're young, and then your teachers obviously teach you throughout school. And we just don't respect teachers. We don't respect teachers. Why the fuck anyone would want to be a teacher? Now I have loads of messages of teachers. I know teachers. I speaking to people who used to be teachers. It sounds like a horrendous career. And if anybody is a teacher and happens to listen to this, thank you for everything what you do, because fuck that. But it's an incredibly important job. And why does it seem to be all the really, really important jobs in society, which are public service jobs, such as police officers, NHS, nurses, doctors, teachers, refuse workers, the things which, if society didn't have, it would crumble overnight. Why are they so poorly treated? It seems like our priorities are in a very wrong place. But there's also another one, what I had, where it was, 2 4-year-olds who didn't get on in school, and they were, like, pushing each other and they bite each other. Kids are feral, kids can be awful, kids can be horrendous. As a father of a child, and watching him grow up and hearing all the stuff what happened in school, he was horrendous at times, and other people's children were horrendous at times. Kids can be fucking awful to each other, particularly young kids too. So and then, but then what happened was, it was like, the parents of the 2 kids didn't get on, and they both ringing the police saying, "Oh, they were talking about me today in the playground. Oh, well, one of them looked at me and one of them said this," and it's like, get a grip, get a grip. Right, your kids just don't get on, and so what? Why? What do you want me to do? Do you want me to go and arrest the parent? You said to Jennifer that Janine is a slag, right? And fucking and what? And what? So needless to say, that got closed down as well. You know. But yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. That is it for today. I hope you had a good laugh. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Feel free to subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you check out the links in the description. Lots of good stuff in there. And be sure to send me your stories too. Hope everyone, hope you have fucking I hope you have a wonderful day. And I will catch you on the ippity dippity whippity flippity dippity flippity flop. Till next time, stay safe. See you later.